price to give us a pullback, more like a bullish pullback back into the zones of the 4642 ounce. Then we can see price drop first level back to the 4524 ounce, and we can go as deep as our 4454 ounce. Okay,
guys, at my FX right here, welcome back to our usual weekly market focus. So this is our usual weekly market focus for the week of the 8th to the 12th of June, which is the second trading week for the month of June. And sorry guys that we haven't been having our weekly market focus for the past 2 weeks. I've been quite busy with some personal things, and I was also trying to round up with our June mentorship. Okay, sorry, our last batch of mentorship, which was the May batch of mentorship. So this has kept me busy for a while. So we are back and grinding, but regardless, we have been sending profitable trade signals in between during this period. Okay, the price has been playing out just as we anticipated from the previous months, or the previous weeks rather, the previous 2 weeks that we haven't done our weekly market focus. It has been playing out just as anticipated. So our last weekly market focus video is still very much valid, which a lot of you and us ourselves will be able to use that to make money for ourselves. Okay, so moving forward, we're getting started with gold. So for gold, for last week, okay, from the last time we were looking for price to drop from somewhere around these zones. Okay, we were looking for price to drop somewhere around these zones, which we had that phase drop here, and we had the second drop from the second week here. Okay, so this is why it's very important that you mark out your areas of interest, your AOI, or your key levels. Okay, so moving forward, let's go to the weekly time frame. Let's see what gold looks like on the bigger picture of things. Okay, so we are now seeing gold trying to form a bearish trajectory, okay, for the longest. So we now have us creating a high, a low, a higher low. So we are expecting price to create a new lower low, new lower high, and a drop. Okay, so for last week, price closed with this massive bearish engulfing candle for us. So let's check the daily time frame. I think I'm going to keep at the daily time frame to make things clean for us to have a cleaner chart. Okay, so here on gold on the daily time frame, so what I'm going to do is to expand the zones like so. I'm going to expand the zones for us. I'm going to expand these zones a little bit. Right, so price currently looking left, we can see price is seated on this strong support area. Okay, and just like I told you guys, price has been moving on a bearish trajectory, creating lower low, a lower high, lower low, a lower high, new lower low. So we are expecting price to create a new lower high before the bearish continuation. Remember, like I always tell you guys, that price moves in a wave form, not in a straight line. Okay, so price is clearly, although we have been having some sort of like ranges for like a week or two, price is clearly very much bearish. Okay, so all what we need to see for the coming weeks on gold is price to give us pullbacks. Okay, pullbacks into the zones of the 4437. Okay, before we can have that bearishness back to 4309 to the downsides. And our next level targets for gold would be all the way looking left. Let's plot our zones somewhere around here. So our next level target would be the 4184 to the downside. Okay, so we are still clearly very much bearish on gold, so do well to mark this out on your phone or your trading device. Up next is the DXY. So for the DXY, just like I told you guys, for the longest, the DXY for the past 2 weeks, it has been ranging. So if I mark this out, you can see in the box the range in which price has been ranging. And from our last week, our last weekly market focus, I told you guys we were looking for price to break here, a retest on these areas of interest in a bullish continuations. Okay, so hence why we have been very much bullish on the DXY, and we were looking forward for the inverse on other pairs like Euro USD, GDP, and the rest. Okay, So let's see how the weekly time frame actually closed. Okay, so this is what the DXY looks on the weekly time frame. Remember, this guy is all the way down here, this triple bottom, and it diverges down here. So this is also a very strong confirmation. When price came to this area, we had that pullback to these zones, which is a support, and price making its way all the way back to the upside. So this actually looks like a good one for the DXY, and like you guys know, price needs momentum to break these areas. Okay, so all what we need to see is price to break the area of the 99 point or the $99, a retest, then a bullish continuation to the upsides. But let's go to much lower time frames to have a clearer perspective of price or the actual zones in which we are looking forward for price reacting from. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this out. Let's have a more cleaner chart. I'm going to mark a new zones right about here for us. I'm going to mark a new zones like so. All right, so price is currently on very close to this resistance. Okay, very close to that resistance or on the resistance there. What I need to see is some pullbacks. Okay, maybe a sell buy scenarios. Okay, for price to pull back into the zones of the 99 point. Okay, then a bullish continuations to the 100 point, and we can even go further. We can even go further to 100.428. Okay, so all what we need to see for the coming weeks is more like a sell, a bearish pullback, and the actual trend is bullish. Okay, and a bullish continuation to the upside. So that's it for the DXY. Next is GBPUSD. So GBPUSD, you can see GBPUSD has been playing out into position, right? We have been having price ranging from these zones. Price broke out a little bit, price went to retest this order. If you are used to how to mark out your areas of your minor areas of interest, okay, this other minor area of interest right about there, before we had a bearish drop from 2 weeks ago. So price has been clearly very much bearish on GBPUSD. Let's check the weekly time frame to see how price closed. It's always important to see how price closed. So here on the weekly time frame, we can see price close with this massive bearish engulfing candle, and that did not just happen anyway. It happened on these previous areas of interest. You can see how price has been reacting off that zones in previous times continuously. So we are still very much bearish on GBPUSD. So all what we need to do is to look for the best possible areas, the best possible minor areas right about now to take our trade calls from. I'm going to mark out new zones like so. All right, I'll mark out a minor zone like so. This price is very bearish, almost close to this zone, so I'm still going to mark out another little zone inside here. All right, so all what we need to see is price to give us pullbacks into the zones of the 1.337 and the bearish continuations to 1.329, and then all the way to 1.3204. okay, and price could also most likely give us a deeper pullbacks to these other zones, or which is our second entry area, which is a 1.34026. okay, before we could see price drop to our first target, which is the 1.329055, then 1.3203 to the downsides. Okay, so that's it for GBPUSD. Do well to mark it out on your phone or your trading device. Up next is EURUSD. So for EURUSD has been also a very good trade for us. Just like I showed you guys, I've been making money from the last weekly market calls. You can see these zones here in which we're looking for price to react from. All right, these are why it's always important to know how to mark out your key levels, because these key levels are very strong indicators or strong zones in which price could be reacting from. So we can see how we had over 150 pips plus drop of bearishness on EURUSD. Okay, so moving forward, let's check how the weekly time frame closed. Is always important. We see that Okay, so here on the weekly time frame, we had price close for last week with this massive bearish engulfing candle. So price is still tilting to the downside. Okay, so price is most likely headed to our next support zone. Okay, our next support zone. So all what we need right now is to look for the best possible areas in which we can take the trade call from. This was also a trade in which we sent last week. Signals are also being sent on a free Telegram community. A lot of money was being made and TPs were being smashed. Okay, so what I'm going to do right about now, I think I'm going to adjust this guy like somewhere around here. All right, I'm going to adjust that like somewhere around there, and looking left for our next possible zones, I'm going to take this here. All right, so these are the next zones or these areas that we'll be looking for trade calls from. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit. Okay, so all what we need to see for the coming weeks is pullbacks. Okay, a bullish pullback back to any of these zones of the 1.158, and a bearish continuation to the 1.1507. okay, then we can go all the way to the 1.145. all right, so these are actually the zones in which we are looking for. It's more like it's buy sell scenarios for Euro USD. okay, all what we need to do is to be patient and wait for price to come to us before we do react. Okay, you wait for price to come to you before you react. Don't just jump into trades because you feel price would move towards your direction of buyers. You have to wait for your state confirmations to also play out. So that's it for Euro USD, and the last but not the least, US oil. So for US oil has been bearish also. It's like we have been looking forward to. We can see US oil. Let's look at it from the weekly time frame first. All right, so on the weekly time frame, price looks like a range. Okay, we can see price looks like a range. Let's look at the daily time frame, and we can start seeing the bearish trajectory on the daily time frame. So we can see price creating series of highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low. New lower high has been clearly shown here. Okay, and we are looking for price to give us a new lower high, a lower low, a lower high, and more bearish continuations. Okay, so we can see how these areas of interest are very strong and keen, and how price has held towards this zone. So all what you need is to go to a 4-hour time frame, look for the best nearest possible zones in which you can see price reaction from. Before then, we can look for how price is going to react to all these zones, and we can get trade calls from these areas. Okay, so all what you do, I'm going to extend these zones like so. All right, I'm going to extend them like so. I think I'll take this guy out. And so all what we need to see is more like pullbacks into the zones of the 1.19.332 dollar per barrel. Okay, we'll be looking for price to go back a little, pullback to 9237 per barrel before it dropped to 866 per barrel. Okay, we're looking forward for US oil to drop even as far as the 85 to 80 dollar per barrel. Why is this so? Due to the World Cup. Okay, you know that the US-Iran war has to do with these two countries, and definitely before the World Cup, this Iran is also part of the countries in which has qualified for playing the World Cup. I don't believe they will love to visit the US while they are still having a war at hand without having a peace talk or a ceasefire in the ongoing war. Okay, so economically, and due to the World Cup that's upcoming, I believe that the dollar will be smooth selling, and we should be seeing the US oil start dropping. Okay, so we'll be having more drops on US oil. Price could go, like I said, to the 92 dollar per barrel. Then we can see our first support, which is the 86 dollar per barrel, 85 dollar per barrel. Then we can go as far as 80 dollar barrel. Okay, so we are looking for more bearishness on US for the coming week. So that'll be it for this week, guys. If you have watched this video to this very moment, please do to smash that subscribe button, like, share, and if you're interested to join in our next batch of mentorship, we only have 5 slots open and few slots are already taken. So if you're interested, DM me, join our free Telegram community, make payments so that you could also wish to learn from the prophetic analyst himself. So always remember to plan your trades and trade your plan. See you guys in the inner circle. Cheers.